Writing an impartial review about a van you really like is really hard. But writing a review about a van that outsells every other vehicle in the commercial vehicle sector as a whole is even harder. But that is not going to stop me from giving the Ford Transit Custom a fair going over in its very own Vanarama Road Test. Since its launch in 2012, the Ford Transit Custom has dominated the commercial vehicle category, outselling its nearest rival by another half again. Its nearest rival sells around 2,500, it sells about 5,000 every month, so that tells you everything you need to know. And it looks great. Now, this particular version we've got is an L1H1, so that's the shortest length and the shortest height. It's the limited trim level, which means you get some nice aesthetic additions. And the first one to notice is this chrome trim round the grille. Now that is lovely, and it really sets off the front end and echoes the silver on the big blue oval right there. Under the hood, you've got the big EcoBlue 2-litre diesel engine that's Euro 6 compliant. I mean, the running costs this thing return are unbelievable, and the miles per gallon you'll get are superb. Check out the big headlights. You've got your big main light there, you've got spots on the side, and you've got secondary lights just down there as well. They thought of everything. Visibility is superb. You've got 16-inch alloy wheels at the limited trim level, and you've got some other bits, the body-coloured wing mirrors, the body-coloured handles, and the body-coloured side mouldings down the side, which again, they're only available at the limited trim level. Just one thing on the wing mirrors, if you press this button, they can fold in and out. They're really useful if you're trying to get into a tight parking space or something like that. Yeah, really nice addition there. One thing to mention just before I hop in is the quick clear windscreen. If that mists up or you get ice on it or something like that, just flick on the button on the inside, it'll clear in no time. Right, so looks wise, this van's a winner. But this review cannot just be skin deep, so let's crack open the door and get into that cabin. Oh. So I'm greeted with some lovely chimes as I step into the cabin of the Ford Transit Custom. There we go, they stop nicely. Now, the interior of the vehicle is another place where it shines. The limited trim level means you get these lovely comfy seats, and I've got to say the driver's seat, which is 8-way adjustable, is one of the comfier I've sat on. It's got a nice armrest down here, which can go all the way back, but if you want to put it into a position, you have to take it all the way down and then ratchet it up, and it stays nicely in place there. You've got all your seat controls down here, and that includes lumbar control. Now, before I look at anything else, I just want to draw your attention to the sheer abundance of lighting in here. Now, you've got your main light up here, but on either side it has reading lights, which is a nice addition. Under the sun visors, you've got more reading lights, and you've even got reading lights on this little cluster of lights up here as well, which means that wherever you are, you'll be able to see everything, which I think is really nice. I think that's a really great addition to the interior of the Transit Custom. Okay, so steering wheel. At the limited trim level, you get this nice kind of pleather covering to the steering wheel, which is actually very grippy. There's some chrome detailing here, which kind of echoes what you saw on the grille at the front. Control-wise, you've got controls on the right and you've got controls on the left. The ones on the left deal with your cruise control, speed limiter and your volume controls, and the ones on the right are your general sort of menu controls, and you've also got your voice control, which I'll show you a little bit later. The dash controls, which you can see through the steering wheel, are actually really clear. I absolutely love Ford's white on black display because it's very clear. All the little instrument lights light up very nicely, but they always stay on and you can always see everything that's going on. You can see your speedometer, your rev counter, your oil temperature gauge and your fuel gauge. Right in the middle of all of that, there's actually a really small but still very clear driver information display screen, which means you can see how far you've traveled, what your fuel consumption is like, and all the other information you'd expect to find right there. Okay, so let's have a look at this great big monolith sitting in the middle. Now, this is the infotainment screen, and at the limited trim level, it will be running Ford's Sync 3 infotainment system, which is really nice. It has things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bluetooth, which means you can connect a variety of devices. Today, we've hooked up an iPhone, which means we can use Apple CarPlay. There you go, there's your phone calls, your messages, your navigation as well. But if you don't want to use all of that, and you don't want to use Apple CarPlay, you can just use the Ford Sync system itself, which allows you to hook your phone up through Bluetooth, or you can just listen to DAB radio or FM radio or whatever else. There's plenty more information about this infotainment screen in our video, which you can find the link to it at the end of this review. Below that, you've got climate control. So you've got aircon, which is a limited trim level only edition. Again, the controls are very nice and rigid. Even the fan dial is very cool, and the light indicators show you where you are at all times. So there's no worrying about whether the fan's on or off, because you can always see whether it is or it isn't. Below that, you've got your hazard switch, and just to the left of that is an indicator showing the passenger airbag is on. I'll get to that just a little bit later. Okay, the gear stick. Now, this is probably one of the nicer looking gear sticks I've seen in a while. And again, at the limited trim level, you get this leather trim around the top, you get this leather trim around the bottom, and it's a very nice and easy gear stick to use. Probably one of the more car-like I've seen in a commercial vehicle. The great thing about this is the console on which it's mounted doesn't jut out too far. Now, in the Citroen Dispatch, this sort of console right here juts out by another 3 or 4 inches into the legroom of the person sitting in the center seat. This one, as you can see, doesn't, because the end of it is flush with the end of the seat. Really, really well thought out. Now, someone else that's really well thought out is this down here. A flip out cup holder. Now, I am a snob when it comes to cup holders, but this has to be one of the nicest. It's a really nice, neat and well thought out place to hide a cup holder, and it's also really sturdy. You could put a great big Starbucks cup in there and that's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I mentioned the airbag indicator. To the left of that is a USB socket, and there's a 12-volt socket up there. You've also got the same thing mirrored up here. You've actually got a 12-volt socket up here and a USB socket, which is where our iPhone is plugged into today. Here is the passenger airbag, which you can turn on and off. Again, this is a limited trim level only option, but it's great. If you do have a baby seat in the front up here, you will need to turn that off, and that's a great thing that you can. Just below that is your glove box, which is, well, very much like a glove box. It's got your manual, it's got your AdBlue filler in there, and it's also got your locking wheel nut, very nice and spacious. Storage is actually a place where this vehicle shines. Not only do you have this little cubby up here, but you've also got, I've counted 9 drinks holders. So where are they? Well, there's one in the door, there's one just up on the dash up above it, there's another one just next to the glove box, so that's 3. Okay, you've got the same on the other side, that's 6. You've got number 7 in the middle here, but where are 8 and 9? They are on your mobile office, which flips down very nicely here. You've got your 2 cup holders at the back, and you've got an elastic snap to make sure your documents do not go anywhere. But that's not the end of storage cubbies. You've also got storage holes all the way along the top of the dashboard. As I said, on this right hand side there are 2 sockets, the USB and the 12 volt. You've got a nice rubberized cubby up the top here, and you've got a nice cubby there. You've got a funny little one here, which I imagine you just stick your change in, or maybe you can rest a phone in there if you really want to. But great storage can be found in Ford's usual place, under the passenger seat. Now, this storage area opens up, you flip those 2 seats forward, and there you go. You've got more than enough room for box files, a laptop, or something, whatever else you want to keep safe. And that is where the through load from the main loading bay comes through into the cabin. Now, that's really nice. You can keep an eye on it. And what's particularly clever is that while these seats do tip forward, they're also heated just like the driver's seat. Very, very clever. You've got to give Ford full credit for thinking about how to do that without making it obtrusive. So, that's the cabin. So, it's got the looks, it's got a good interior. I think now is just about time to turn it on and see how it handles the tarmac. The Transit Customs users up and down the UK, and I've read some of their reviews, all say pretty much the same thing. Build quality is brilliant, speed is excellent, the engine returns great running costs and miles per gallon, and they also say it's just really fun, really reliable, and just the perfect size for everything they need it to do. And what's immediately apparent is how reactive the engine is to you. You put your foot down on the accelerator and you get a lot more power than you should do with a vehicle of this size. Seriously, when you're in second gear, it feels like you're in a rocket. You put your foot down and suddenly there's this exertion of G-force on you as the engine just takes over. It's absolutely amazing. And it's hard to believe that even with 850 kilograms in the back of this L1H1, you'll still get that same amount of power. Absolutely blinding. One of the things that I've been surprised about on this drive is that even when I'm going around corners, I'm getting no snaking, no wobble on the suspension. It just feels very sturdy, very planted to the floor. And I think that's kind of what Ford are going for. They don't want this vehicle to be boring or unsafe feeling to drive. They've absolutely nailed it in my opinion. Couple the engine with the great gearbox and this very sturdy, solid drive, Ford Transit Custom is a winner. It feels easy. It's just effortless, even up a hill. We're climbing a hill now at the moment, and there's just bags of power. I'm in third gear, and it just doesn't feel like it's ever going to let up. It's really nice. I feel very comfortable and very in control. There's not a lot of vans that give you all of that all of the time. And round the roundabout, very tight turning circle even on a van of this size. Always good to see. So it's quite funny, but up ahead I've got two more Transit Customs. I've got another silver one and what looks like an orange one. And I'm not surprised. I mean, this vehicle sells in its thousands. If I had to have one quibble, I'd say because this is such a perfect package with everything I need from a van, I'm looking for things to be wrong, for things to be sort of just out of reach or not in the right place, but as yet I'm stumped. I can't find anything on this that I'd change. It's not saying I won't, but I'm having a hard time here. How the hell do you pick a hole in something this good? I think I'll just adjust the lumbar support on my 8-ways adjustable driver's seat. Oh, I think I'll just bring down the armrest to get myself a bit of comfort here. So the 2-litre Euro 6 EcoBlue diesel engine is mated to a 6-speed gearbox in this particular version. It's very responsive, it's very fast, there's lots of power at my foot tips. And I just don't feel like it ever really will suffer on any road surface. It's high, the seating position is good, I can see where I'm going, I've got all sorts of bells and whistles that will allow me to see better if the window mists up. There's just so much that this vehicle can do that you just cannot help but love every second that you're inside it. And that sounds a bit twee and a bit kind of like there's going to be harp music playing in the background, but I am a Transit Custom fan. And I don't care who knows it, I'm happy to say that out loud. I'm a fan of this van. I can't wait to see what they do with this range over the next few years. So to make a nice change of pace, we thought we'd bring the Transit Custom out onto a bypass so we can get it up to some speed. And I'm not disappointed, it was very fast and responsive. I came down the slip road in third gear, stuck my foot down on the accelerator, it picked up right up to 60. I'm now hovering just around 70 miles an hour. It's making mincemeat of the road, to be quite honest with you. Easy, and I feel like even if I needed to overtake or stop suddenly, the big disc brakes on all four wheels would sort me out and the engine would keep me going at the speed I wanted. It's just superb. You've got to give full credit to Ford for creating a van that just ticks so many boxes. It's a really hard thing to do in a market like this, where there is so much competition and so much platform sharing, that the Ford Transit Custom stands out on its own and continues to sell at the volumes it sells. It's absolutely superb. Now that was a great drive, but every good thing has to come to an end. And speaking of ends, let's head round to the back end of this vehicle and take a look at the loading bay, which in my opinion is one of the class-leading loading bays in the medium van sector. Now at the back end you'll notice that the doors go all the way from the bottom right to the top. That's about 1.4 metres by about 1.4 metres. The back doors open up. Just disengage the slam locks and they open up to a full 180 degrees. And there you go, just look at it. Now in the L1H1, the loading bay is 2.5 metres long. At its widest point, it's 1.7 metres wide and it slims to just 1.4 metres between the arches. Now let's have a look at the side sliding door. This is 1 metre wide and 1.3 metres high. As I said, it's just a great loading bay, really sets the Ford Transit Custom apart from its competition. And speaking of its competition, let's take a look at some of the other medium vans available on the market right now. First up, the Citroën Dispatch, Peugeot Expert, Toyota Proace and Vauxhall Vivaro. Now, this group of close relatives are a mixed bag with plenty of choice of tech and looks, even without the option of different heights. The PSA Group and Toyota have done a good job giving each one a different vibe despite sharing the same platform. The Renault Trafic, Nissan NV300 and Fiat Talento. Now this bunch of relatives have an edge with different heights available, but their payloads need a bit of work. Overall, there is a lot to be said about this bunch of hard-working vehicles, but the one you pick will depend on the features you prefer. The Mercedes-Benz Vito. Now this is the luxury option with tons of trim levels and variants to choose from. You do pay for the 3 spokes, but then don't you always? And finally, the VW Transporter. Now anyone who knows me knows I love this van. It's great looking, incredibly user-friendly, and the payload is, in my opinion, the only place it very slightly underperforms. So there you go, there's all the medium vans available in the marketplace right now. As you can see, the Ford Transit Custom is up against some stiff competition, but it just keeps on winning. So how do we finish this one? Well, the Ford Transit Custom is just a great medium van. If it wasn't, it wouldn't sell in its thousands like it does every month. And that's because it's well equipped, comfortable, practical, and all the things you want from a hard-working LCV these days. For thousands of people, the search for the perfect medium van will start with the Ford Transit Custom. And for probably about the same number, that's where it's going to end. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And if you want to find out more about this model's infotainment screen, check out this video. Or if you want to find out more about the rest of the Ford Transit Custom range, check out our overview.